Welcome to the Cast and Camo podcast, where we talk about hunting, fishing, and all things outdoors. Grab your fishing rod, put on your favorite camo, or just sit back and enjoy this week's topic. Cast and Camo begins now.
I want to start the show off on a very serious note. Just so everybody's aware. Right before we go live, like literally there's 30 seconds or less left of the intro video. And I hear in my ear from Eric, "Do you want to show my nut?" And I'm, whoa, that's not what I thought our topic was tonight. Look at the size of your nut.
Yep. That's a pecan, wherever you live in the United States.
What do you call it?
I call it a pecan, but
I don't know what I call it. I think I call it something different every time.
It depends on where you live in the U.S. They call it different things, pecan, pecan.
I think I say pecan.
Yeah.
That's probably the British version. That's probably like the East Coast way of saying it.
There's a lot of them this year. A lot of them. I mean, it's like
pecan.
Yeah, but I hate nuts. I hate them. I can't stand nuts.
Why? Really?
Yeah, walnuts. The only nuts that I used to like. Now, this sounds weird. The only ones I used to like was the beer nuts that had, like, they were covered a little bit with sugar or something. Years ago. That's all my granddad ever bought, and I got addicted to them. So I'd get the tin can of beer nuts, and the problem of it is I'd eat the whole damn thing.
Yeah, that is the problem. I love nuts. I love nuts in my mouth. I love them. You guys are starting to get to know me quite a bit as far as my eating structure. I'm like a 6-year-old, right? It's chicken nuggets and French fries, pretty much. No vegetables. But there's one thing that almost no matter what it is, nuts. I love nuts. Now, I will say, and I know Mistress Mink is going to get mad at me for saying what I'm about to say, and probably half the country that's in the Southeast. Boiled peanuts are the most disgusting thing.
Oh, no.
Ever.
Oh, no. Boiled, that turns me off if I even walk in a store that has them. But, to be honest with you, a lot of people like pecans,
I love them.
whatever. But there is no way that I would eat them. I mean, it just...
Really? Does Pam eat them?
No.
Really?
Not pecan. Now she never mind. Pistachios, forget it.
Yeah.
She'll sit here and eat a whole bag of pistachios.
Yeah. Those things are the devil.
And I don't know what it is. Is there something about bedtime that women got to sit down and eat a whole freaking 2-pound bag of what? Jesus Christ.
she heard it.
She's eating them now. That's what she's doing. She went to bed an hour ago because she's not feeling good.
Yeah.
And she sits in there and just like goes to, I don't know.
Well, as long as we're doing show and tell. This is my. I'll show you my life.
No matter what.
See this?
Oh, you gotta be shitting me.
Oh.
Look at this, Pam. You missed
Pam?
it.
What?
Pam, hurry up. Come here. Hurry up. Look
Check
in
it
there.
out, Pam.
Look at her. She's got her thing in nuts too.
Yeah. Me and Pam and our nuts.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
I love nuts.
Sure is with a dog, though.
No, I don't share mine at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
she
you,
doesn't
well,
share
this
hers.
has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about, but I'm curious. Those you have the pecan trees, right? That's where you got that from?
Yes. Yeah, I have 2, 3, well, 2 in my backyard and then 1 in the neighbor's yard.
So does anybody eat them?
I don't know. No one in my family.
Really?
I don't
Okay,
know.
so
Katie or Rachel or Ryan. I don't see them guys ever getting them.
So is it like an apple tree where you can take the apple right from the tree and just bite into it? Can you take the pecan nut and crack it open and eat it?
Yes, but
Okay.
you want to make sure that they are ready. You don't want to eat these things before. Now this one here is ready. You can see. I don't know if you can see the black streaks on that or not, but when they get that, they're ready to eat.
Okay.
I would myself. I don't know what else they do with them. I think they can put them in the oven, bake them. They can do. I don't know.
Just don't boil them.
Yeah, I would not. I would definitely not.
Boiled peanuts. I've never been so disappointed
Pecan
in my
pies.
life.
Mistress, let me say something. Here, there is all of our restaurants right now have them. Is pecan pies. I mean, every restaurant you go into, they make it's like really big, and I can't stay.
Really?
I'd rather have a dirt pie.
What about never mind. I'm gonna stop myself right there.
Yeah, you probably chocolate pecan pie. Really, Mummy Shark?
That sounds different.
Yeah, I don't know if I. All right.
Candied
what are the
pecans.
ones?
Oh.
So why are pistachios, the red ones, better? I know we're way off subject, but why is the red ones better than the white ones? I mean,
They are?
I've heard so many people tell me, hi, Mad Woman. I've had so many people tell me that the red ones are 100 times better than. Is it because?
Yeah, I thought it was
your
just food
fingers-
coloring.
That's exactly what I don't know if it's because their fingers get red. Maybe that's why they like it. I don't know.
I mean, I get it because the red M&Ms are way better than the brown M&Ms.
Really?
Yeah,
You're going to go there.
it's true.
You're going to go there,
It's true.
Todd.
I think it goes red, green, yellow. Is there a blue M&M?
Yes, they make blue M&Ms.
Okay. Then I would probably go red, green, blue, yellow, brown. Those are in order of my favorite M&Ms.
I shook my nut. I can't hear it.
That sounds like a personal problem. Pam,
All right. Now,
can't feel his nuts. Help him out. Help your brother out,
see,
Pam.
the thing, and this takes us, let's just take a step into this.
Yeah.
So we have a show here for outdoors. So these pecans are one of our squirrels' main diets here. They
Oh,
run
sure,
up
yeah.
and down my fence with like 3 of these nuts hanging out of their mouth. You know,
I've seen a video like that.
I've got some good pictures of them sitting there with a pod of 3 hanging out of their mouth, waiting for Luna to come outside so she will bark at them. They sit on the fence teasing my dog because they know the dog can't get to the fence. The cord stops about that far from the fence, and they just sit there. And they're like, "Come on, come on! I got my nuts in my mouth. Come on up and see me."
Yep.
So anyway,
What? They're bastards. We all know that.
yeah. All right. So
Anyway.
So I think we need to get on with the show. Let's do some housekeeping, Todd.
Yeah, let's do some housekeeping. Well, first of all, we kind of jumped right into it. Welcome everybody to Sunday night's Cats and Camo night, 7 p.m. We were off last week for a reason. I think I was gone. Was I gone? I was gone.
Yes,
was I
you
gone?
were gone. You've been gone for like 6 years.
Man, it's been a long last 5 weeks. 3 weeks of work travel and then fun stuff. Well, yeah, that's right. Last week I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going hunting. Finally going hunting. Have you gone hunting yet? Have you gone bow hunting yet this year?
Shut up, Todd. I hate you so freaking bad right now.
All right. Oh yeah, we got all sorts of nuts happening in chat. What's up, Bronco? Bear Slays. Bear Slays nuts are in my mouth. No surprise. Yeah. And
You know,
all the time.
The thing of it is, Todd, I sit here and I watch you hanging in a tree. All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it gets, and I wanted to bring this up to you tonight, and not to make fun of your video, but at night, quit zooming in when the light gets so dim you can't see.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, I lose all picture. It just goes pixelated. Because, like me, when I stream from my deer stand at night, I notice the camera like moving in and out all the time.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's like trying to get the light. And when you zoom in on a deer or something like that, it just goes wonkers. But so when you're hanging from your tree stand, you got a safety, like a safety thing like this on you?
The harness?
Yeah.
On my body?
No, on your neck.
Well, I have got a lot of things up there. I've got battery packs, I've got phones, I've got mounts. There's a lot of things going. Microphones. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you're asking me if I have other things tethered to the stand or something so don't fall down.
No.
You're holding an inanimate object there.
Well, yes, but I was trying to show the loop. All right.
Yeah. Okay. This is one of those moments where I have to say, do as people say and not as some people do. I do not wear a harness.
All right. Should you wear one?
Yes.
Okay.
Look,
All right.
to me, it's different than the whole debate on like seatbelts. Seatbelts save lives, right? I think that's been proven.
Harnesses save lives.
Do they though?
Yes. Do you know how tall? Now, let me ask you: the bottom of your stand, the base of it, where you stand with your feet, how far is that to the ground?
11 feet, 12 feet.
All right, so you're even more chicken than I am.
Yeah, no, I see my stands. I go up. I use two ladders, which I think are 5 or 6 feet.
Okay,
that's it.
All right. Yeah,
now, the other stands that I sit in are 15 plus. But my stands, I don't need to go up 15 feet. It just makes the deer further away, for fuck's sake.
Well, I don't like heights in the first place, but my tree stands are all 18 foot, every one of them. So last year, I took one of the rails down, and I'm 16 foot now. And that's still, but 11 foot or 12 foot, if you fall out of there, do you think you won't break an arm or run the, if you got hold of your bow, what's going to happen then?
I have the power of flight. You didn't know this about me.
Okay. All right. Yep. Well, anyway, yeah, and I have a lot of friends that I just seen in chat. Someone said 25-foot stands. I have seen people climb 20 to 25 foot in a tree, and there is no need to do that. None whatsoever. There is. I understand the wind, but if you don't think standing in a tree that within 200 yards your wind does not drop down
Right.
to the floor, you're badly mistaken. I don't know where the hell you ever grew up at or thought about wind, but if you watch the wind, you're going to have it drop and go across the bottom of the floor anyway. So any deer coming in that way, and you're supposed to hunt the wind anyway, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you shouldn't have to worry about it if you're hunting the way you think the deer are coming.
Now, I will say if I was 20 or 25 feet up, I would wear a harness.
You should even wear it at 11 or 12 foot.
I should.
To be honest with you.
I should. And this is one of the things that I think over a year ago when we first kind of started talking about the show, we're not experts on anything.
No.
This is like a layman's hunting and fishing channel, right? Like,
yep.
I'm an idiot, and we're going to get into how I'm an idiot shortly here, but I don't know stuff. Now, if I had somebody walk me or go out to my stand with me with my harness and say, here's how you do this, I'd probably wear it. But I legit don't know how to do it. I legit don't.
Well, the harness is, I mean, you put it, it's like a vest. You put the vest on. It snaps around your waist.
I know, but how?
It goes over your arms.
Yeah.
And it tightens in the center. If you fall, it's gonna catch you, and it's gonna stop you from going. Now these
and then what? And then what? Now you're dangling 20 feet, 15 feet in the air with pressure on your legs.
You don't have one of these. Let me try to show you. You don't have one of them sticking out of your ribs.
True. That's true.
I mean, I've investigated, I don't know how many hunting accidents in my life.
Well, you're getting ahead of me. I was going to ask you about that at a point tonight.
Yeah,
but
we can
you're right.
Do that later.
You're right. We still haven't even done our housekeeping yet. Our sponsors are going to be pissed.
Well, no, they won't. They can't wait. They're like sitting there going, I know they're going to bring us up. They're going to bring us up.
Well,
you know what?
Right on
you
the screen
guys
anyway.
need a new boat? Guess where you can go?
That's right. If you need a new boat, it's a great time to buy a boat right now. It's the fall. They're probably trying to get rid of some inventory for the 2024 season. Check out Sea Arc Boats. That's one of our sponsors, Sea Arc Boats, !point Sea Arc in chat. On Twitch. We'll get into that in a second. It is also prime season, in my opinion, for meat smoking. It is. I love smoking meat in the fall when it's kind of chilly out and you got your venison from your deer hunting and you need some seasonings for that venison that you're going to be smoking. Check out Texas Select Seasonings, !point BBQ in chat. That gets you 15% off if you use Cast and Camo in all caps as your discount code. Cast and Camo, all caps, 15% off. And then finally, we were just talking about this the other day, a couple times in the last week. Minerals, little things that you can throw out that are going to grow this fall already, or still prepare for next spring, prepare for next fall already. Got to think about it early. Deer 30, get all your food plot stuff, get all your minerals, get all the stuff that you need. Get that all for 24% off by using Cast and Camo 24 as your discount code. !point Deer 30 in chat. We've got our non-mod doing a great modding job. Thanks, Buzzard. Dropping those links in the chat, everybody. And just so people know, because we're 20 minutes in already, we're on Twitch. We're live on Twitch every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central. Check us out if you're watching on YouTube later or listening to Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, which we're also on. Check us out on Twitch if you want to be a part of the chat. If you're hearing us talk to certain people, we're talking to the people that are engaged with us live in chat. So if you want to be engaged with us and make fun of Chief for how old he is and everything else that we can make fun of them for. I'm saying that because I know what's about to happen to me tonight. I know I'm about to get roasted, but we'll deal with that. Deb, thanks for that subscription. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. But everybody join in on Twitch if you want to check us out, Cast and Camo on Twitch. And if you're watching on Twitch and you want to see the previous episodes, you can go to our website, www.castandcamotv.com. You can go to YouTube, Cast and Camo TV on YouTube, or check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Cast and Camo, Minnesota Hype. That's right. All right. So, and check us out on Discord. If you want to join in on getting notifications and all that fun stuff, join the Discord. I think we're gonna do. We'll look at. We should have been looking to do some cool stuff in Discord for this fall, but we still got time. We're not quite to like the big hunting season, right? That kind of comes in just under a month. The gun season.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier before the show. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but my season for rifle comes in November 9th. Todd's is November 9th in Minnesota.
Yep.
So, where I used to live in PA, it always come in the week after Thanksgiving. So on a Monday morning, but now they have started opening up deer season on Saturdays in PA.
Oh,
so
it's about time.
Yep. Yeah, now the kids don't have to call off school. See, it was great when I was in school.
Now they can call off on Friday because you have to go on Friday to get set up so you can go hunting on Saturday.
Yeah, but the best part of it is when I went to school, I would walk into the principal's office and say, "Hey, Frank, it's deer season. I will be back next Monday." And that was on a Friday. And he'd be like, "Okay." I'd say, "Well, if you really want me to come to school, I'm going to call off every day and not be here. So I'm just going to pretend I'm sick." And he'd say, "All right, go to your teachers and get your homework now." And that's what I would do. I'd go get all the work for the whole week because I knew I wasn't going to be there. I was going to be deer hunting that whole week. So, yep.
Yeah, I would usually take Friday off of school and we would drive up early and get set up in the woods in the camper. And there's a lot of good memories, good years back in the day. You know what? We've talked about this probably way more than we want to or should, but when we were younger, by November, first week in November, there was snow on the ground. It was cold as shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I don't remember who I was talking to, but I remember when I was a teenager going hunting and you would watch the deer cross the lakes because it was enough ice and you could cross the lakes in early November. It's not like that anymore. Now you need camo shorts and camo like your shirt right now. This is how I'm going
to be hunting the first day because they're saying it's going to be like 69, 70 degrees our first day of deer season.
It's the last handful of years have just been crazy. It's one of the reasons I waited so long this year to even get into the stand for first time, other than the fact that I was also gone for work travel for 3 weeks. But I wouldn't have gone anyway because it's too hot. 85 degrees. I'm not, and I'm sure everybody in the South is going, well, it's always 80 degrees down here during deer hunting season. I'm not used to it. I don't have equipment for 80 degrees sitting in the stand. I have equipment for -10. That's what I'm prepared for.
Well, I can't wait because as soon as we cut our beans, then I'll be deer hunting. But that's probably going to be a week from now. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and
I got a lot of work to do.
We finally got out last Monday for the first time, and then this weekend. And it was a couple good nights. I mean, it was Friday night was really nice. Last night was really nice. Now, part of what we're gonna talk about tonight is it's kind of story time. And the topic tonight overall, kind of a overall grandstanding topic is hunting weapon fails and maintenance, however people say it, maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a perfect example on Friday night. What did you just put on your hand? A fucking duck?
Yeah, I want the duck to hear this story. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now I am going to ask for your assistance because your crossbow that you have there sitting next to you is similar to the one that I had /
Yes.
have.
Yep, sure
And
is.
and it functions
Yeah.
similarly.
Yes.
Because yours has the crank on it, correct?
Yep, right here.
Okay. So
This is the crank.
that crank, if everybody can see that crank, and where are the hooks? The hooks, can you show? Can you see Chief's crank?
All right, these are the hooks here.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but people get the gist. Now, so the way you cock this bow is you flip it to CCD, I think, on the Barnett's, and then those hooks will pull down to the drawstring, right? So they go all the way down to the drawstring, and then you crank that all the way back, and it pulls that drawstring back, and it locks into the trigger mechanism.
That's correct.
What you're supposed to do, everybody, you're supposed to unhook those hooks from the drawstring and put them back onto the crossbow. That's what you're supposed to do. It is also what I did not do on Friday night. And I was in too much of a hurry to get into my stand. And I forgot. I cocked it because I didn't want to cock it in the stand again because it's kind of awkward. So I cocked it at my fish house. And then I walked out to the stand. I crawled up into the stand and I hunted for whatever it was, almost 3 hours. And I thank my lucky stars for a lot of things from Friday night. And one of them is, since we had multiple deer in front of us, one was in shootable range. It was just the size of my pinky, so I wasn't going to shoot it. But it was 16 yards and it was broadside. And if it was, look, side note, I'm not opposed to shooting a fawn. I'm not. It's good deer management in some cases. If you have too many, they're going to eat a lot of the food in the winter that maybe a more mature doe needs. If it's a hard winter in Minnesota, we worry about that. If you're going to get 17 feet of snow, I lost complete track of what the hell I was even talking about, but I didn't take those freaking things off. And I didn't notice it the whole time I was in the stand. So we saw 10 deer on Friday night on stream. And I get back after stream and I go back to fish house where I was gonna stay Friday night. And I did. And I'm like, okay, Eric talked me into this decocking arrow. So I bought one of those last weekend, finally. Right there it is. And I put that in.
I'm ready for you.
Nice. I like it. It's like you almost knew.
Yeah,
so
almost.
I put the decocking arrow in. I pointed at the ground like you're supposed to, and I pulled the trigger, not paying any attention to what the hell's going on. I didn't have those two hooks unhooked from the drawstring. So the trigger goes off. Drawstring goes down, kind of. On the left-hand side, the hook stayed attached. On the right-hand side, that one came flying back up, and that crank that everybody saw on the right-hand side of that crossbow, as my hand is holding the crossbow, the thing flies up, catches my thumb, that hook catches my thumb. I've got the hook right there. I've got the crank against here and the crossbow right here. My thumb is now being pinched inside that where the trigger is, right next to the trigger, with I don't know how many hundreds of pounds of pressure. And it was a moment of what the hell just happened? What happened? It took me a little bit to realize the mistake that I had made, because the other on the left-hand side, that hook was still on the drawstring about 3/4 of the way down. And I'm trying to pull up on that drawstring. I'm trying to pull up on that pulley. And I'm going, there ain't no way in hell my left hand is going to pull that back. No chance in hell. And I'm looking at it, I'm like kind of looking underneath. I'm like, my thumb's still there. It hasn't turned completely purple or black. And I'm like trying to with the crank, with my left hand, I'm trying to move that crank to take some of the pressure off. And that's working, but it's so pinned in under around that string. I couldn't do anything. And I'm sitting there going, I'm about to lose my thumb. My thumb. It's a thumb. I can't lose my thumb. Then I'm no better than a non-ape. I mean, that's what makes us different. We have opposable thumbs. If I don't have my opposable thumb, what am I going to do? I can't do anything. I can't use a mouse.
You can't suck your thumb?
Can't suck my thumb.
That's right.
Can't hitchhike anymore.
That's right.
So there I am stuck, and I'm all by myself. And this is going to be part of my point. But I'm all by myself. I'm stuck. And I'm literally watching my thumb detach from my hand or get the circulation cut off to the point where it's going to get amputated. And I'm like, it's my thumb. What other options do I have? What other options? I'm looking around. I'm like, I have my hunting knife. I can tell that hook on the left-hand side is what's holding all that pressure on my thumb. And I'm like, the only option I have is to cut my string on the crossbow. And I know by doing that, it's going to fire. And what I didn't know is, now I'm talking this through with you, Eric, all of that pressure, we know you're not supposed to dry fire your crossbow or your bow, right? It's bad. That's bad news brown. I have no idea when all of that pressure is on that hook and my thumb. And I'm sitting there going, how is this going to work? I'm gonna slit that rope with my knife. I know the drawstring is gonna snap down and it's gonna fire. But I have no idea what's about to happen after that. It's like I knew the only way I could get my thumb out is if I cut that string. But I also wasn't sure once I cut that string, if my thumb was just going to go, watch this magic trick, gone, right? I had no idea what was about to happen. So here I am. I'm in an insane amount of pain. My arm's stuck in my crossbow with my thumb stuck. And I'm like, I turned my head as far away as I could. And I reached with my knife and I slit it. And next thing you hear is plap. And I'm like, I still have my thumb. I still have my thumb. And then after those two initial thoughts, I stand up and I'm like, mother, this hurts. Like my thumb was like flat. It was almost like watching Tom and Jerry when or somebody's going really fast and they run into something and they just splats and they stand up and they're flat. 2D. That's about what my thumb looked like. And I'm going, okay, I don't know if it's broke. I couldn't feel anything like from this whole side of my hand. I couldn't feel anything. So I call my dad because he's like 15 minutes away from where I was hunting. And I'm like, you need to come pick me up and bring me to the hospital ASAP. And he was at a work function. And I felt bad. And it was a party. And he's like, why would happen? I'm like, I got my hand caught in the crossbow. He's like, I'm on my way. So he goes and picks up my mom. This is kind of funny now because it's like, I just called you and told you I need to get to the hospital. And you leave your party and you drive home to get my mom. Now I love it. It was very nice. But I'm thankful that I wasn't needing like immediate medical attention. But so they come and they pick me up and they bring a bunch of ice packs. I didn't want to drive by myself because I could tell the adrenaline was pumping to a very dangerous level. Blood pressure was up. I was shaking. So I didn't want to drive myself. Normally I would. Normally I'm pretty calm in these situations, but I almost just lost my freaking hand. Maybe next time call 911. Honestly, 911 probably would have taken longer. And I wasn't bleeding out. I had maybe a broken hand, whatever. So as we're driving to the hospital, which is like 20, 25 minutes away, and I'm icing and I'm holding it up here and I'm putting ice on it. And every once in a while I'd take it out of the ice and kind of move it around like it's not broken. So I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at my thumb and everybody can see I got wrong way.
Did you ever think of cutting your thumb off? Did that ever cross your mind to save the bow?
I'm gonna stick my thumb right up your ass. No, because I don't think I could have.
See, here's my dilemma that I would have been in with that.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting that string, dry fire, and them limbs shatter.
Right?
And now, here, swear to God, everyone. Now, if you've never seen one of these crossbow arms or compound bows arm shatter, this is like unreal. And it's like very thin slices that go flying off of this. This stuff, this whole thing shatters.
Yeah.
And it's unreal. See, that would have scared me probably more than, I mean, I don't know what I would have did. Because I hunt by myself all the time, too. Once in a while, Ryan's with me. I go down, and I know someone said in chat a little bit ago, you need to have people with you. You need to be, that does not happen. Not everyone, how do I want to say it? Not everyone likes to hunt every day or be that involved. So you don't get a lot of people that hunt like some of us do. So it's hard to get a partner that wants to go hunting every day with you. So
and that's where my head was going. When I knew when I was going to cut that string, I did not know what was about to ensue. Yeah. It could have been worse, right? That's what I mean. But at that point, it was either lose my thumb or try this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
I guess I would have went behind a tree, maybe. Put my hand out in front of a tree to where if it did, maybe, I don't know.
Hindsight 2020 for sure.
I'm just screwing with you on that.
I know.
The safety factor there has got to be really huge on that bow dry fire.
That's the thing. Like, and I knew because the drawstring was about half or 3/4 of the way down, because it had already fired. It fired the decocking arrow out. So it had already fired, and it wasn't technically a dry fire, but it was like a partial dry fire. But I still knew, you could feel the pressure, and it's still hundreds of pounds of pressure, right? So, or whatever it is, 185, 200 pounds of pressure, whatever it might be. And it's probably more because of the short distance. I don't know. I'm not a physics person. But I was in so much pain. I just, in that moment, it was like, I either do this or I do that. And I'd rather have my thumb, hopefully. And the way it all turned out was, I was very, very, very lucky. And ultimately, so we get about 2 blocks away from the hospital. I take my hand out of the ice, and I'm like, okay, I've calmed down, the adrenaline's gone, and I'm like, I can move my thumb. I know it's not broken. I have a cut. I can tell they ain't stitching that cut. There's no stitches that are going to help with that. Even though, I can kind of almost see the bone, but there's no stitches. And I'm like, I don't want to really pay for an ER visit and x-rays and probably an MRI for something I know isn't broken. Is there possibly some nerve damage? Potentially. Like, I still can't feel the tip of my thumb. It's still completely numb. And it might always be that way. I don't know. Could be. But I'm like, let's just go to CVS or Walgreens and pick up some Band-Aids and some Advil, because they ain't broken. I just want to, put something on the cut so it stops bleeding, put some antiseptic on it. And it was fine. And it turned out to be okay. I've got some rope burn cuts on my inside of my thumb, and it doesn't tickle. Doesn't feel great, but it could have been a lot worse. And I guess the whole point of this being handling your weapons. We're getting into coming up on gun season. We're already, for the most places, either 2 to 4 weeks in on bow season. We're talking about harnesses, things that you should do, especially when you're hunting solo. Is it best to have somebody with you? Yeah. But at the same time, I know I'm also comfortable enough with most of my skill set and knowing that I have people that are close, whether that's honestly, whether he's still here or not, whether that's Deer Butch. I know Deer Butch is only 15 minutes away from where I was. My parents are 10 to 15 minutes away. I have the neighbor, I have people that I could call, right? But in the case talking about the harnesses, if you fall off that stand or whatever, the stand, something happens and you break your neck, you can't call anybody, right? You can't move if you're paralyzed, you can't pick up your phone and call 911 or call your friend. You're there. So that's why when you asked me about the harness, that's why I said I know I should. And I should.
Right.
And I should get into the habit, like you said, whether I'm 10 feet up or 30 feet up, you should wear the harness, right? But even when you're doing the simplest things that you think are routine and you're used to doing it, you've done it over and over and over and over and over, it's still a weapon. And sometimes I'm a perfect example from Friday night. I didn't respect the weapon. I was going through the motions, right? Like I was in a hurry. I wasn't paying attention. And for 3 hours, I didn't pay attention, but it didn't look odd to me because the bow was cocked and those little nubs, the hooks are all the way back. So it didn't look out of place, right? So nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but if I would have just taken an extra second just to kind of look like, and it was a good reminder for me. And I'm thankful, obviously, that I'm okay. My thumb is still here and functional for the most part. But it was a good reminder lesson to it's still a weapon. It still is going to cause harm and be hurtful. And if you don't respect that weapon, and if you don't take care of it, and if you don't pay attention to what the hell you're doing, you might not be as lucky as I was on Friday night. You might lose a thumb. You might lose a finger. You might get shot, right? You might break your neck. You might break a leg or hip. Dear Butch, Dear Butch is at that age where he could break a hip again. He's got to watch it. You want to see me get a deer in person? Yeah. Hopefully we can make that happen. But so that's the story. Come on. Which did I want to tell people that I did something stupid like that? No, I didn't. I told a couple people. I told Eric. I told, I think, one or two other people about what happened. And I said, don't say anything. I don't want people to know. But the more I thought about it after Friday night and most of the day yesterday, I was like, I want to bring it up. And we kind of had the same ideas as far as kind of the safety stuff for tonight. But I'm like, I want to bring this up because if I can help, it's cliche to say, but if I could help one person not be as stupid as I was, then that's what I should do. So once again, we learned from all my mistakes hunting last year on stream, where to not take your shot, where to wait, all those things that I screwed up last year. Now I'm using myself as an example again of don't be dumb. Don't be stupid. Take your time, pay attention, respect the weapon, right? Respect the weapon. Now, I don't think my crossbow is effed, but what I want to do is kind of show. So if you hold your crossbow up again, if you can, and I'm going to grab my new one, and I had to go out yesterday and buy a new one because you can't buy the freaking strings, of course. So the difference is, so the way I was telling the story is that string with that crank on the side, those little hooks. Now, the big difference and one of the big selling points for me on this bow, which was not cheap by any means, but instead of that drawstring, it's a cable system. It's a cable system that you can kind of see that thing moving. And now I have my crank is down here. Yeah, everybody look at my crank. I can detach the crank, put the crank on, and it cranks up easily. There's no strings to go flying back and capture, or, like what I did, right? So it is a lot safer. And this bow is absolutely not going to dry fire. In order for this bow, and I'm trying to sell you on this bow because I know you need to get one, Eric. In order for this bow to actually fire, not only does this thing have to be pulled back to the trigger mechanism, right? The arrow has to be knocked. If the arrow is not quite knocked enough, it will not fire. So you have to have all those things aligned up. Whereas, so what happened to me on Friday night would never have happened with this crossbow. and I'm not trying to talk down on the Barnetts, but that crank system, it's nice, but I legitimately did not realize how dangerous that cranking system could possibly be. I had no idea. It never even crossed my mind. I didn't even know something like this system here with the cable. I didn't even know that existed.
So you're worried about me
about.
is what you're saying.
I am worried about you.
Okay, so you're going to buy me one?
No.
Whoa! You just said you was worried about me.
I am.
But, and let's be honest here, Todd.
I'll shoot Rachel a text. She'll buy you one.
Leave Rachel alone. All right, here we go. Let's be honest.
Okay.
You was in too damn big of a hurry and not paying attention.
Correct.
And,
yes.
and I'm going to tell you, every hunting accident that I've investigated, people do not think clearly. They're in a hurry. They see a turkey move or think it's a turkey and they shoot a human because there's a human sitting over there behind a tree and they move their shoulder or their arm and they see that movement and they shoot. They don't identify their target.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same way with you. When you caught that bow, if you wouldn't have been in such a damn hurry to get to that stand and get up in it, you would have probably figured that out. I mean, it's one of the biggest things I do, and I did it the other day going fishing. I went out to the garage, got all my stuff ready, put it in the truck, and stood at the truck staring at the garage. Do I got everything? I look in the back of the truck, and I know I got my camp. I'm going through everything. Bait, out of the refrigerator, from the garage, the whole 9 yards. I get down there fishing. I take my fishing rods down, set them down, reach over to grab my net.
No net.
Where the frick's my net? No net. But I even stopped and thought about it, but the net was moved the day before. And that's the only thing that threw me off. Was that net was moved. But it's the same way with hunting. You go out there hunting and you don't stop and think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you're ready to leave, if you got to crank that bow back at your truck or at your building and then walk out, I mean, it's all right to do that. You may walk past a deer on the way there and need to knock an arrow and shoot the deer. I would have hated to see you shoot at a deer that night.
Oh my God.
And the thing of it is, because of what happened, you may have needed a safety belt. Have you thought about that?
No,
I mean,
you know what? I didn't.
So bad that you moved and fell right out of the tree.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And how would you have got out of the tree stand
with the bow?
Your thumb and bow?
Yeah. I can't answer that. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'm being really serious. People really need to think this kind of stuff through. And that's why I said to you, I don't know how you would have done it in a tree stand. That would have been nuts.
On top of the fact that it would have been on stream.
You would have been crying like a baby. You didn't scream, did you?
No, I didn't scream and I didn't cry, but there were a lot of F-bombs being thrown. There was a lot of F-bombs, a lot of MF bombs.
Well, and were you blaming yourself or were you blaming the bow at that time?
100%. Like I said, when it initially happened, I didn't know what happened. Because none of it made sense because I didn't know what I hadn't done. Right. So all I knew is I pulled the trigger. I thought something malfunctioned with that decocking arrow because it was only the second time I've used it. So I thought something went wrong with that. And then that's when I realized, oh shit, that thing's still attached. Oh no. And it was a lot of pain. But you're right. If that would have happened in the stand when if I would have shot at a deer on Friday night, I can't answer. I have no idea what may have possibly happened.
Yeah,
But now, if you want to, now that
being up in the stand.
Now that we know everything is okay, right? It's this is where you learn your lessons and you move on and you do not do these stupid things again, which is why I'm bringing it to everybody's attention of what the stupid thing that I did. But now picture this in your mind. Picture this in your mind. Let's pretend I was wearing my harness.
Okay.
I'm wearing the harness. I shoot. My thumb is jacked, stuck in the crossbow. Mm-hmm. I fall out of the stand. Now I'm dangling there on the harness with a freaking crossbow pulling down because gravity, despite what some people say, is real, pulling down on my thumb. And now I'm just hanging there. I don't even want to think about it.
Let me ask you something. Where's your cell phone this whole time? Now, I know you're streaming with one. You've got a chat phone. Is it on? Yeah. Do you have it strapped on your hand or not?
I did not this weekend. Normally I would have another mount, but that mount broke. So on Monday I had it on my arm.
If you would ever fall out of the stand and you can't get out of that, you got to make sure you got a cell phone in your pocket or something.
It was
strapped on your arm or something that you can make a call.
It was in my pocket. But yeah, but it makes you, and I'm glad you're bringing some of that up because I honestly, even now, it didn't even cross my mind. Like what crossed my mind is I can't imagine how much shit I would have gotten for the next 2 years, mostly from Red Irish and probably you and Joker on how dumb I am. If that would have happened on stream, I never would have heard the end of it. That's what was in my mind. Like, can you imagine how dumb I would have looked on stream? I mean, I do that enough the way it is.
Yeah, but I don't think that would bother me, how dumb I looked. The safety factor is what should be, and this is a learning curve for everyone, because I'm sure you're not the only one that's ever done that. I guarantee you other people have done it and they've got out of the stand, gone back to the truck, and then went to uncock it and happened to look and say, holy shit, this has been on the whole time.
Yeah.
I still think you're dumb. Oh, my
Thanks, Joker.
Lord.
Love you.
So, I mean, yeah, it is a learning curve for everyone, but it does, stupid stuff happens. It's like going out and taking, now I've had this happen a million times, and I don't know why people do it, but they'll be hunting today with a 20 gauge shotgun or a 410. All right, or a 12 gauge. All right, let's get through this because you wouldn't believe how many times I've had this. I go out and I'm standing there, and when I walk up to a hunter, I'll say, you have to have a plug in your shotgun to small game hunt. All right, there's certain things deer hunting you can put 5 shells in with slugs, so you can take out your plug. So anyway, for small game, they have to have a plug. So the first thing I do is check to make sure their gun's plugged. I'll slide 2 shells in. They'll hand me 2 shells. All right? Guess what I've had in my hand on a 12 gauge or on a 410? They hand me a 12 gauge shotgun. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing with a 12 gauge shotgun shell with a 410? And he's like, oh shit, I forgot to take them out of my pocket. Now, can you imagine sitting out there hunting and you shoot 3 rounds and you grab shells and you start shoving them in? They're not even looking at what they're doing.
No.
So they're putting a 20 gauge shell inside a 12 gauge shotgun. And hopefully that son of a bitch doesn't seal it to where most of the time they'll get jammed in there and not even fire. But I mean, I've seen a lot of goofy shit happen. And where it all is people, before you leave home, make sure you have the right shells for the gun you're using, the right arrows, because I have seen people with crossbows that now can hunt with crossbows, and they've got another bow, a compound bow back home, and they got their compound arrows with them. They get out there and they're like, okay, well, it's going to work anyway. And they slide that damn. No, it doesn't. That's like the worst thing in the world you can even try to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to put myself into the category of just people are dumb. I like to not think of myself as very dumb. I think I'm at least partially kind of smart. It's one of those things like, and we've all, like you were talking about with your fishing net. I don't know how many freaking times I've gone fishing or ice fishing. I get there and get everything set up. You drill your holes in the ice and you're like, I forgot my rods. Or you go spearing and you spend 45 minutes cutting a big hole in the ice. And then you go, I forgot my spear. It's happened, right? It's just you get so complacent, because you do it so often, and it happens in every aspect of life. You get so used to doing something, every once in a while you make a mistake. And that's what I did Friday night. And I wanted to point it out because if there's anything that you shouldn't do that on and shouldn't take for granted, and you should stop, pay attention, look everything over, even if you're in a hurry, like I was on Friday night, because that could save your life or it could save your thumb. That just taking that extra 5 to 10 seconds isn't going to make you miss a deer or not catch a fish, right? It was dumb. What I did was dumb. I wasn't paying enough attention, and hopefully people can learn. And I'm thankful that that's what it was. You talk about crossbows and just safety with crossbows. They still make me nervous. Like crossbows make me nervous.
The arms make me nervous.
Yeah.
That's where all your pressure is.
It's so much pressure.
And I know you don't have the cable, but you still got the strings going to your pulleys. And there is so much pressure on them.
Yep.
That if one of them snap, something's going to happen bad.
Yeah. And on Friday night, after it happened, I'm trying to figure out if my bow is okay or not. And I go on to Google. I'm left-handed, or I can only have one hand. And I'm typing like, how do you know if your bow has been dry fired? And pretty much everything you'd read says you will know because it will be shattered and be going in 1,000 different directions. There are some bows on the market that not recommended to dry fire, but can hold up on a dry fire better than others. Most will just shatter and explode right on spot. But others will not shatter, but there's most likely some of your arms or the cams, something's going to be fractured or broke or snapped. I don't think any of that happened to mine. So I'm going to bring it in this week, and I'm going to get a new string for the cranking device. I'm going to have it looked over. Now, when you're looking over your crossbow, Eric, to look for, and as general maintenance, now we're kind of getting into the maintenance portion. Now that my story time is kind of over of my stupidity, what steps do you take as far as maintenance? Now, just not let's leave the strings alone for a second. But how often do you look at your crossbow to make sure that there isn't a crack or a fracture in one of the arms or the cams, or do you do anything? I don't. I mean, again, I'm ignorant.
So, what you want to do, if you own a crossbow or a compound bow, the best thing to do is get a magnifying glass. These things are painted with a camouflage, and they're very hard to tell. So where your screws go through, right here, you want to inspect right where the metal is on the ends, right here, very closely, because they'll get a hairline fracture. And you will not see it if you do not know what you're doing. The same way down here where the cams are. You want to make sure there is so much pressure on this. This thing you can hardly move. And this has pressure on it all the time. So if I'm just we'll just say I get a hairline crack here. and I pull this back and fire the deer, and that thing breaks the rest of the way, there's going to be all kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this thing's bent pretty good, and when you pull this back, it even bends it more, and it puts hundreds of pounds of pressure on this bow. So any place that you have any kind of screws into your cams, you want to inspect that very close. That should be the number one thing you do every year before season even comes in. Yes. If you see something that looks like a crack. Now, I had a compound bow that I had paint. The paint started cracking from the factory. It scared the living hell out of me. So I took it in. The guys got there, and they're like, no, that's the paint cracked. And he took sandpaper and sanded that off and showed me it wasn't a crack. But this is one thing you definitely want to do.
Yeah.
One of the
things that I read that seemed like on Friday night that seemed like a pretty good idea is somebody suggested taking like a cotton ball and just running the cotton ball up and down those arms, and if it catches, because
it would catch like crazy on mine. Mine has the jagged paint on it. It would not work on my arms. This is not smooth. This is real rough paint on here.
Gotcha.
So
what about the top? What about on the top though? On the sides, the short piece.
What are you talking about?
Not the front not the top of it, not the front facing part. Is that still rough?
Oh, up here?
No.
Up here?
The top part of the arms.
Yes, this is all rough. Every bit of this is actually, even the bow itself has a rough coating. It's not slippery at all, and it actually helps grip it better, I guess. Yep. But that's just the way they made this bow. I'm sure there's some that's real smooth that you could do. Yeah. But even with the cotton bow, if you have such a hairline fracture and it's clear down here, in this area here where the pins go through, your cotton ball is going to catch on this. You'll never even see that or catch that.
True.
And that's where this happens all the time. The fractures happen at the ends where your screws are. Yeah. That's where where
the pressure points are.
They don't happen in the middle of the limbs.
Yep. But to what you had said, and I think this is something to mention to everybody, if you are questioning it, if you think something is wrong, if you think there might be a fracture or a crack, bring it in. Just bring it in. Have professionals look at it. Have them look it over, because it's not worth trying it yourself.
Yeah.
Like even on the one that I messed up on Friday night, I'm gonna bring that in. They're gonna look it over. If I would have bought a string for the crank this weekend, like yesterday, there's not a chance in hell I would have pulled that bow back and fired it without it being inspected by a professional. There's not a chance in hell, because that's the last thing I would have needed, is actually have a fracture that I can't see, or I'm not experienced enough to find it or know about it, and I shoot it, and now it explodes, and now I've got shit in my eyes, right? Not literally.
Well, let me ask you another question, and I'm not picking on anyone in here, you or anyone. How often do you shoot your bow before deer season at a target?
Well, see, that has changed for me, because with the compound bow, a lot. With the crossbow, like, for instance, I went and bought this new crossbow yesterday morning.
I already know the answer to what you're going to tell me. You shot it 3 times and went hunting.
No, it was more like a dozen. I shot it a dozen times to sight it in. But I normally, back before I got the crossbow, when I'm going out with the compound, I would get to where I'm hunting. I always had a target there, and I would take 3 shots. I would have 3 arrows with field tips in my quiver. I would take 3 shots. For me, it was all, you think it's like a basketball game. You go out and you warm up. You take some shots. You kind of get the flow going. You got to get into the groove. For me, it's the same thing with bow hunting with a compound bow. You got to get there, take a few shots just to get a warm up, get your sight in, get your mindset. But with the crossbow, I mean, it's like a gun. It's like a rifle with the scope. You have that thing dialed in, and I'm sure you're supposed to take a couple shots before you go. I'm sure you are.
This is just me.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when I go hunting, I'll shoot 2 or 3 times, either here or down there when I get there.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go hunting, just to make sure everything's working right. And I have 4 crosshairs in this scope.
Mm-hmm.
So I have mine set at 20, 30, 40, and 50 yards is how my crosshairs are in my scope. The problem of it is I usually will not shoot anything more than 30 yards. And now, if it was a wall hanger, I can hit 50 yards very easy with this.
Yep.
And I do really good with it. I can probably hit a circle like that at 50 yards with that. The problem of it is if it's getting dark, I won't take them shots.
Right.
I've had so many times where I've seen people and get called at night. I shot a deer, Eric, and I hit it. It's bleeding. What time did you shoot it? 5 minutes before dark. And that is usually a lot of the problems that happen with foul hitting deer and not, because what are you going to do? 5 minutes before dark, what are you going to do? You're going to start rushing yourself.
Oh, 100%.
It's going to get dark. I can't shoot after 7:10 or 5 minutes after 6. That's the end of the season. And now you're streaming. You better go by the rules and regulations of Minnesota, because you're just setting yourself up to get arrested if you go past that time.
Right. Correct.
So the thing of it is you just got to be careful on rushing yourself. That deer's going to come back out again.
Yeah.
Another night. Maybe a half an hour early tomorrow night. So, I mean, that's kind of the Russian stage. And where I have problems with is being close to dark when people shoot their deer. That's where we have most of our problems with people foul hitting deer wrong. And it's not their ability to shoot, it's the light conditions.
Right.
You don't see the deer properly and hold properly. Every one of my deer I shoot, I try to shoot underneath the arm into that heart part. If I can get that brisket, that's where I'm going.
Right.
And a lot of people will shoot back high on the deer too, which will kill the deer also. But I want that lower shot if I can get it. And I've let deer walk right past me before because I haven't had the right angle shot.
Yeah, and that's where I've messed up last year. It is, you've done it now. It is not easy. And anybody out there that has tried to record themselves, I know Banana Sack has done it. I'm sure other people, it is not easy to solo hunt and record at the same time.
Oh God, no.
Now, even recording with a recorder or a GoPro or something that's recording but not live is a little different, but it's still not easy. Now, when you're live, it is not easy. And I'm not trying to say like that's the reason I screwed up last year and so far this year. But it does play a slight factor into your head is thinking content. Your head is thinking, I have an opportunity to do something cool for people that are watching. Everybody's been sitting here with me for 4 hours to see me shoot a deer, and now here's my chance. It's slightly quartering away.
Yeah.
But I can make that shot. And that's my confidence. Like, I can make the shot. I know I can make the shot. I'm going to make the shot.
Right.
But it's almost like there's too much going on in your head, and I've legitimately considered, should I not stream while I'm hunting, because is that causing some of the issues that I had last year? But I still think last year, I made 2 good shots. They were just slightly off, like within inches of kill shots.
KC just brought up a very good point in chat. Is we let our streams kind of dictate to us sometimes. You'll have people in your channel that have never deer hunted a day in their life, and they want to see you get that deer. So immediately they're saying, shoot the deer. And that deer may be 35, 40 yards, and your comfort zone is 30 yards. And you need to just stick with what you do and forget about that stream talking to you when you got a deer in there. I mean, I know you want to show them.
Yeah, they tried that on me on Friday night. Like, I get it. Like, shoot it. I'm like, dude, there's not even meat on that deer. It's so small. Could I shoot it? Yeah, it's 16 yards away, broadside. But geez, I can see the milk dripping off of the chin from it sucking on its mom's teats.
Yeah.
5 minutes ago. Like, I can't shoot that deer.
Yeah. And that's the problem with when we're dealing with our chat. Our chat, my chat is toxic or neck, and I love them.
What?
I mean, I love them to death. But the problem of it is they would love to see me miss than to kill the deer, I think. Because then I would never live it down. I have certain people that would be like, Chief just screwed up. This is like the best thing ever,
Oh, and don't trust me. Having shot those 2 deer on stream last year, both non-lethal, and I'm going to go as far as saying confirmed non-lethal, because I did call the dog both times. We had the dog track. So I would say confirmed non-lethal shots. But that, I took a lot of shit, and I'm still taking shit for that this year. And I'm not going to lie. Does that play into your confidence level? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you know what I'm talking about, because you and I had some heart-to-heart conversations. I was ready to quit hunting last year. I was like, fuck it. I'm selling everything. I'm selling my guns. I'm selling my camo.
What did I tell you? I told you the same thing. We have all gone through this, and there ain't a person that hasn't started bow hunting when they were 12 years old and grown up bow hunting that hasn't shot and bow hit a deer.
Right.
I mean, I know for a fact people have hit 5 or 6 deer in one season, foul hit them, and they were done. They never wanted to look at a bow again.
Yep.
I mean, because once you do, and then you do it on this stream, and it's 3 times worse. And I mean, it just, Crazy Cat, you're the most toxic one. But anyway. Anyway, seriously, if you let your stream dictate your hunting ability, and how long have you hunted now, Vexus? I mean, how many years have you been hunting? Yeah,
33 years.
So you're letting your stream bring you back to 12 years old to what you're doing. If you let someone talk you into shooting a deer that you shouldn't even, that you don't want to shoot.
Well, see, that's the difference. Like, nobody, even last year, nobody talked me into shooting at those 2 deer. Those were deer I would have taken a shot at, whether I was on stream or not.
I was there when you shot at both those deer, so I got to see both them deer being shot.
Yeah, and I mean, I had that 8-pointer that was literally licking my boots last year, and everybody's saying, "You shoot it." I'm like, it's only a 2.5-year-old. I don't want to shoot a 2.5-year-old 8-pointer.
All right, so. Let's do this real quick. Mm-hmm. I've hunted with so many people. They're out there for that. Boone and Crockett.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever cooked an antler and ate it?
I gnawed on one once, and it wasn't very tasty.
All right. So here's my thing that I'll say to everyone that's out there hunting. Yes, it is great to get that big buck. But if you're hunting in an area that you know well, and you don't have a great big buck that you're seeing, and you've got an 8-point that's a 16, 18-inch spread, then take it. I'm exactly the same. I sit down there at the farm, and I've got so many bucks running around there, and we usually do have 2 or 3 monsters, which makes me want to let every deer go past. Last year, I was streaming it, and I said, I'm going to take the first buck that's decent that comes out on the other side, that come out. And then when that deer come out, I shot it for the stream. I don't eat the antlers. I can't eat that. I've shot a ton of bucks. Why eat the antlers? If you have a chance, Todd, and you got a nice 8-point to shoot it, why wait? Because that might be the last buck that you see the rest of the season, like last year.
Right, but if you remember, that buck, there was a bigger buck directly behind me.
Yeah, I do know that.
So that was I tempted to shoot the 8-pointer? Absolutely. Would I have considered it had the one not showed up right behind me? Probably. Yeah. But and I know my area enough to know that I'm not going to have a massive 14-point buck or a massive 12-point buck. If it gets to 10 in our area, that's pretty damn good.
Right.
And I'm more concerned, like, I'm going to tell you, do I want a massive buck? I don't even know if I do, because when all I see instead of like points or tines on the antlers, I just see dollar signs. Every aspect of that antler is dollar signs. The bigger it is, the more expensive that damn thing is going to be to freaking mount. And I'm already gonna have to buy the pork to mix and the seasoning and find the time to mix all the deer and the casings and process the deer.
You don't want to take the deer to a processor no more. I mean, you're looking at just having ground burger steaks. What used to cost me $50-$60 is now $200 and $300 just to, and they charge you $50 to skin your deer.
Yeah.
And we used to take our deer and it was $60 for the whole process.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like, but now so if you're not going to pay somebody that, you still have to process it. You still have to buy the pork and the seasonings to make all your stuff. But now you want to mount this thing? A shoulder mount? That's $800, $1,000.
I've been kind of lucky. So my shoulder mount that I got with mine, I have a new guy here, a school teacher that's mounted deer his whole life, and he retired. He will not charge over $300 for a mount, and he does a beautiful job.
Oh, that's.
And he only takes in 100. He only takes in 100 deer.
That's still a lot of deer, though.
Yeah, well, it is. But I got my deer when I killed my deer. I got my deer in June, like the end of June.
Yeah.
Is when he got me my deer back, and he did a gorgeous job on it. But he took in 100 deer, and he was completely. When I took my deer over, we are 1 week earlier than Indiana, and he lives in Indiana. So I didn't have the competition with the Indiana hunters. That's the only thing nice, because if I did, I probably wouldn't even have got my deer in.
Right.
You know, and if you are a kid under the age of 16, he gets your deer before Christmas.
Oh, that's awesome.
He makes sure them kids get their deer before Christmas if they're 16 and under.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like him giving them a Christmas present, but he only charges $300. You don't get that very much.
No.
Now Ryan paid $650 a piece for his 2 years ago. He had both boys killed their bucks, got them both mounted their first bucks. One was a 12-point, one was an 8-point, and he paid $650 a piece for them. And I think their mounts don't even look close to mine.
It's insane. And so that's what I mean. Like, would I want to shoot a big buck? I got four mounted on the wall right now. Do I need another big buck?
Right.
No. I want summer sausage. I want snack sticks. I want jerky. That's what I want. Which is why I say I'm not opposed to shooting a fawn. And I would have shot a fawn on Friday night had it been just a little bit bigger. That one was a little too tiny. And I've seen other fawns out there that are like, okay, use my bonus tag on that thing. It's going to be nice, tender meat. And I don't want any hate mail, but it is tender meat. It's better meat. The older the deer, the worse the meat is. It's just a simple fact. And that's the other thing. Like you shoot a big old 12-point buck that's a 5-year-old, 6-year-old. It's going to taste like ass. It's going to. It is, especially where we are, it's swamp bucks. It's, they ain't going to taste good. They're eating walnut or not. They're not eating walnuts or pecans. They're eating acorns and grass. Like those big old bucks in the deep woods don't taste good.
Yeah, I have not ever had that problem here or up in the mountains in PA. But in PA, you was very lucky to get a 2.5-year-old buck because of the hunting pressure.
Yeah,
very lucky to get a deer that was normally it was a 1.5-year-old buck. Because there's so many hunters in PA, them deer just do not make. Here, I've killed a dozen deer that are over 5.5 years old here. 6.5. One, I think, could have been 7.5. It had no teeth at all in it. I mean, they were gone. So it could have been between 6.5 and 7.5. And most whitetails in the wild, at about 7.5 years old, they die.
Right.
And some of them die before that. But your most mature on a whitetail is going to be 5.5, 6.5. And then they usually go downhill. Like the next year after they hit their most mature rack and their rack will look like shit the next year.
It goes down. Yep.
I mean, it just reverses. And now I've seen deer in captivity where they'll live 12.5 years.
Right.
And I watched their antlers go down. After that 6.5, they keep the antlers of that deer in the stores and that where they have the park at for you to go look at them.
Yep.
It just it's unreal the way deer actually. I mean, living in the wild, once they lose them grinding teeth, they're pretty much done.
Yeah,
they're pretty much shot. Yeah,
can't eat ice cream. They can't eat soup.
Yep.
I mean, they could try. You could have somebody make them ramen.
Let me talk about this for a minute, real quick.
Yep.
So this is the old pulley system that we used to have for our crossbows. So these are what Todd was talking about that hook on your line on the crossbow. It brings the drawstring all the way back. This one here is made to where it hooks on the line and you pull both of these by putting your feet on this right here. So your feet go on this to hold this down, and then you put the string on this and you pull this string back to where it cocks in here. And
that one's a manual, right? It's got the handles and you pull it up manually.
Yeah. This just has the handles. So but then years ago, they come out with these cocking devices, which these are so much nicer. You just got to remember to take them off the string when you're done. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
So anyway, and I want to talk about wax. Real quick. This is waxing the string. You will hear people say, you don't need to wax the string. I'm going to tell you, these will fray. These strings will fray. And the best way to do it, to keep them good, is to wax them strings. I'm telling you, it's so much better. And I lube the rail.
Yeah.
For this line sliding across, it's just so much easier. This rail right here, the two rails running down, which this string runs right against it. Wax and lube, noted. That's the way, Casey.
Now,
but when you cock this back, it automatically puts the safety on. Automatically.
Correct. Yep. One thing I do want to point out, though, because I mean, Smokey's making a joke, and we're talking a lot about cocking, and lube and wax. Unlike certain aspects in life, where you want to use a lot of lube. You don't want to use a lot of lube on these crossbows. You don't want that stuff accumulating. You want it just enough to on that rail, just enough to give it a shine. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want it to be puddling. You just want enough to just keep it lubricated and keep a shine on it. Same with the wax. I'm not opposed to wax. I wax my strings as well, but you don't want to overdo the wax, because if you have a wax buildup, it will not attract, but that wax is going to catch onto dust and particles and this and that could cause issues with your string. So
I just put it on my fingers and run it up and down the string. I don't put this on the. You'll see a lot of people take this and push this out, and then there'll be big clops on the damn string, and that ain't the way to do that.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Less is more. Less is more.
Yep.
You don't want, and if you're putting too much wax on those strings, it could potentially kind of fill those. If there are imperfections, there slight little niches in those strings, it could kind of fill that gap, and you're not able to see that because of so much wax buildup. And it's going to attract and kind of catch a lot more particles, dust particles, and whatever, mud or whatever it might be. You're out in the woods, for crying out loud. There's things in the air, and there's leaves, and there's debris. So anything to keep that stuff clean. So less is more, but definitely use lube and definitely wax. At least that's what I would say. That would be my advice as well. Do we want to talk replacement strings?
Well, all right. So I'll go ahead and make a quick note of it. These newer bows like Todd's, they are anything over 400 foot per second. They are recommending that the cables be replaced every year. So there is, if you look at Todd's, Todd, bring your bow up real quick. And you can see mine here. Look at the cams, all right? So my arms are out further than his. His are drawn in. And there is so much pressure on them and on them cables. On his is twice as bad as mine with the pressure. So they recommend you replacing them cables, which costs $100 every time you replace them. And whatever the cost is for the actual labor of replacing it. The problem of it is that scares me if they want that replaced every year. That means there is so much pressure on them arms that is unreal.
A lot of pressure.
Now, I'm not tearing that down, but I don't want to deal with having every year of replacing cable lines. I don't think, I don't know. I'd love to have that bow that he's got there. I mean, Bez, if you want to get me a Christmas present, I'll take one of them. But anyway. No,
they're on sale right now, Bez. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. But anyway, no, I'm just teasing. That is probably one of the only downfalls. Now, the pluses to that bow is immaculate. I mean, it shoots a lot faster. They now have bows that go up to 640 foot per second. Bows are costing $4,000 or $5,000 for them. It's nuts what they're spending on these bows and being able to do with it. I went and looked at bows last year, and when the guy told me I had to replace the cables every year, I was like, no, I'll keep my bow. Chief will pay you back. Yeah, I'll pay him back. Yep. So anyway, I think these newer bows are a lot nicer. They're more compact, easier to get through the woods than mine. I got mine on my back. It catches on every tree limb going down to the tree. And it's like, bang, bang, it pulls you back, And it's like, holy smokes. That bow there, I would feel safe putting it on my back and climbing my tree stand. This bow here, there's no way. I got a string down there at the bottom and I lift it because them arms will catch on the ladder going up the ladder.
Yep.
I don't know. There's like a plus and minus to this with these newer bows, and I'm not convinced that I need a new bow.
There was one thing I do want to circle back to. Smokey actually put it in. He made a comment in chat, and it was when we were kind of talking about with what happened with me on Friday night, and if that would have happened in the stand, should have been wearing a harness because who knows. And it also made me think, and Smokey brought it up in chat, and I forgot to bring it up. I always used to, when I would go hunting, I would always have my knife on my belt, always. And I don't know when I got away from that. I think as I got older, again, you kind of fall into that complacency stage of, I got this. I know what I'm doing. I'm a pro. I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't need to I'll just have it in my bag. That's got me thinking what happened Friday night already has me thinking like, I need to put my knife on my belt all the time when I'm in the woods, all the time. Even if I would have had a harness on, like we were kind of talking about earlier, if I had a harness on and I fell out of the stand while my hand is stuck in the bow, without my knife was there, but it was in my backpack. I'm not going to be able to reach that backpack. But if I had it on my knife or on my hip, on my belt, now I've got, a knife that I can get to hopefully at some point. So it literally Friday night reminded me. I mean, for lack of better terms, well, it reminded me, you're not the king of the woods. You're not a professional. You're not an expert. And even if you are, these are still situations that you need to respect the weapon, the situation, and you need to be smart about it. It's not about looking cool. It's not about, I don't need a harness. I need to get away from that mentality. And I think it's good to bring up to everybody else that I'm experienced. I've been doing this 30 plus years, and it happened, and it could have been a whole lot worse. And it had been a lot worse. I wasn't prepared, and you need to be, even if we're as old as Chief and you've been doing it for 50 years, you should still take the precautions.
I mean, there is no time that I don't double guess myself, and there's times that I screw up just as much as anyone else does. You just gotta, you just gotta go over a checklist in your head, everything that you're doing.
Every
your
time.
Gun, I mean, it's like I see so many people come back in deer season and lean their gun against a truck loaded.
Lean
the barrel. And it's like, I'm standing there going, oh my God. Well, in PA, that's illegal. Well, that's a fine. If you lean your gun against a truck loaded, it's a fine.
Really?
Yes, it is. 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like the worst thing in the world to do, because if that gun slides off and falls and discharges, I mean, the safety is like your biggest concern.
What do? Do you lean it up? You can't lean it up against the truck, but can you lean it up against a tree?
Now, when I come back to the truck, if I'm going, I just unload it as I'm walking back to the truck.
Okay.
Within like 20 yards of the truck, I'll unload the gun. But if I'm coming back to eat and then go back to the stand, we'll just say that happens, which never does happen for me, because I usually will eat right at the stand. Then I would probably lean the gun against a tree somewhere that has good deep bark on it, where it's not going to slide and fall.
Right. For me, that's the distinguishing factors. You can
lay it on the ground.
Lay it on that's the other thing I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so much, unless the ground is soaked from raining and that.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is, you got to think about what you're doing. If you take your gun and lean it against your truck, and then you get to bullshitting to someone and get in your truck and drive away, thinking your gun's inside the truck, number one, you're going to put the biggest scratch you ever seen in your life on your truck. The gun's going to fall. Whether it discharges, most of the time it won't. Hopefully everyone's got their safety on. But I've had people hand me their rifles, and they're actually loaded with the safety off. And I'm like, as soon as I look at the gun, I'm like, do you know the safety's off? No, it ain't. Yes, it is. Look.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, shit, I had 2 deer come down to me, and I threw the safety off. I forgot all about putting the safety back on.
Yep.
How many times do you see people put fingers in the trigger and play with the freaking trigger?
I want to vomit every time I see it. I want to vomit. Yeah. That's a whole nother topic for another night. Is gun safety and the things you should and shouldn't do. But wow. Well, we really didn't even. Well, we got the most of the stuff.
Well, we didn't even get over the other part on the deer and the guns and everything.
That's right.
We can do that another time.
It was a good discussion.
Yeah, as soon as Bez buys me that new bow, I'll feel a lot better.
Oh, they're on sale. They're on sale right now.
On sale for $25.95.
No, it wasn't that much. They sold. I was there at 11 a.m. I think I was the 8th one they sold already that day. They were busy. That was a big sale. Big sale. All right. Anywho, don't forget to check out our sponsors, !BBQ, to check out Texas Select Seasonings. You get 15% off your order if you use Cast and Camo in all caps as your discount code. Check out Sea Arc Boats. It's that fall time of the year. Sales probably going on. Maybe not because it's boats. But check out Sea Arc Boats if you're looking for a boat, especially a river boat. !Sea Arc in chat. And last but not least, Deer 30, Deer 30. Use Cast and Camo 24 to get 24% off your order, which is a hell of a deal. If you're a deer hunter and you use minerals or do food plots, you must order from Deer 30 because 24% off is a big deal. Big deal. And they're good dudes. They're good dudes. Anything else, Eric?
Yeah. One more thing.
Okay.
Thank you for all being here. And I'm Eric Simcox.
And I'm Todd. This is Cast and Camo. We'll see you guys maybe next week.
Bye.